Hi, this is Stacy Suniga again with the Sham Unveiled. I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, really great leader for the Latino community and especially Latino youth in schools. So, Sonny Subia, how
I'm
the
doing
heck are
good.
you?
I'm not used to this on a Zoom. We're normally talking politics over coffee.
I know, or
Beer.
beer, and then I
I didn't
put my
want to
ice
say
in
it,
your
but
beer
yeah,
and
over
kind of,
beer.
hey, hey, we're humans. A beer these days is not a
Yeah,
stretch of the
absolutely.
imagination. So, Sonny, tell us about LULAC. I know you're the Colorado State Director, but tell us what does that organization do in this community and really across the United States and maybe even
And actually, we
internationally?
are international. But LULAC is the oldest and the largest Latino organization in the country, and we were established in 1929. We're coming on our 100-year anniversary in a few years, so that's going to be a big deal for LULAC. But we have over 430,000 members, adult members, and then we also have youth members. I think the last count was over 700 high schools and colleges. So we have a lot of young adult councils located at colleges throughout the Southwest. We have some back east, and we're real big in Puerto Rico.
Wow, that's
But we,
great. So the adult members are,
oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. No, I was just going to ask you, the adult members, are they usually teachers or
Oh
are their
no, they
parents?
come from
What?
all walks of life. A lot, sometimes they're migrant workers that are um, fighting injustice in the fields, and they band together and join and make a LULAC council. And their LULAC councils, they can name their own council. And so we've got LULAC councils that represent. We have a Salina council in Corpus Christi, but the history of LULAC goes way back to the way it started was we had some veterans, Latino veterans, that they weren't letting them be buried in white cemeteries. And that was one of the first things that LULAC stood up against was making it accessible to everybody. And this was in Corpus Christi, Texas in 1929. When they first started, they had to park their cars down the block because they could be arrested and jailed for having a LULAC meeting. And so a lot of times people would know that there was a LULAC meeting and they didn't know if they were at the right house because there were no cars. So they would have to knock on the door and they said, yeah, you're here, you're at the right place. But it was very, very difficult to have LULAC meetings in the beginning. And then we started working with our youth because a lot of our youth councils were older adults, and we knew in order to keep those adult councils going, we needed to mentor and bring some of the youth up to take our place. And that's kind of what we're doing now. And that's why I'm very involved in working with youth because I'm not going to be around forever. And I want to make sure that we have some youth that are in the halls that are ready to hit the ground running when it comes to fighting civil rights and injustices.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, that's kind of the idea, I think, systemically, even politically, is to be able to pass
Well,
that
and that's how
torch
we set up
to
a
the.
system where we have the youth councils in the schools, and then we have the young adult councils in the colleges. So we transition them from high school to college into the adult council. And we do a lot of work with the college councils because they're usually members of the adult council. And they, right when they graduate and they're not in college, they join an adult council. And so if we transition them, it's really smooth, streamlined, and just to make it easy for anyone who wants to be a LULAC member to become a member. And like I said, we have over 700 councils throughout the United States and Puerto Rico, and every council is different. One council could be working with youth, another council could be working with civil rights, another one could be working with history and the arts. It just depends on what the council wants to do, and that's their passion. As long as they follow the guidelines of our LULAC Constitution, they can run a LULAC council any way they want to.
So when you were talking about the origins of LULAC, lots of racism and suppression. And it seems like here we are today and dealing with the same darn thing. So I'm curious to talk about current events and talk about some of the things that have come forward with the Trump administration. How has that affected not only LULAC, but, kids in the schools, the families of these children? What are you seeing
Well,
out
we
there?
can almost go full circle and from the history of how we started to what we're seeing now with this administration. Um, it was LULAC that started the Little School of 400. And in order to talk about the history of LULAC, that was one of our greatest accomplishments, where Lyndon Johnson and Lady Bird heard about this little school in Texas, in San Antonio. These little kids would go to school, and it was a little school of 400. Now, that didn't mean those kids, there were 400 kids. That meant that they had to learn 400 English words so they could be successful in kindergarten. Lady Bird Johnson saw the program. She said, we need to replicate this throughout the country. And that became Head Start. So we were really proud of the fact that LULAC started the Head Start program. Now, with all the cuts in the Department of Education, one of our greatest moments is going to be cut. And the reason they're cutting that is because most of the kids that participate in the Head Start program are from low-income families. And so they can transition into kindergarten better. So where do you want to start? You want to attack the education system, because these are the kids that are going to be our leaders. And so whatever they can do to make it harder for them to become those leaders and to have the resources and the support, they're going to do that. I mean, you've seen them uh, taking books out of the library. I mean, and they're taking away the history, taking away some great people, and they're blacking them out. I mean, it's like these kids that are coming up, it's up to us as LULAC adult councils to share that history with the kids and not let them bury it somewhere. And so what we're trying to do now and on a national level is become those educators now. And where normally it was civil rights that we were huge on, and we will continue to be, but now we have to put our educator hats on, because it's these youth that are going to be the blood of the new adult councils that are coming and that are going to be leading some of these rallies and some of these things and some of the fights that they'll be seeing in 10, 15 years. Hopefully we can get through what's going on now in 4 years and try to right the boat again. But these kids are seeing this, and we need to be the people there to let them know what's happening and let them know that they do have support. And there are people in the community like you and your organization that will help them if they ever get into a spot.
So are you sensing the general feeling from this youth right now? Is it, are they having experienced some fear? I'm sure at some level, or are they getting this innate urge to fight back? What are you
Right now,
seeing? I mean, the
right
kids,
now, Stacy,
yeah.
is they're apprehensive. They're scared because they hear all of these guys out there, and Noam from South Dakota, she has that commercial running. If you are undocumented, self-deport, and you might be able to come back. And so they're scaring. What happened was we have a group of kids from Brentwood, and they have a folklorico dance group there. And for Christmas, we had a Christmas diorama out in the park, and we had our dancers, and we were singing, songs. And this one beautiful young girl, I heard her dad went to his court hearing for his papers. They arrested him before he got into the hearing, and he was deported. Now here's three little girls and a mom, not knowing what they're going to do. And that word gets out in the halls. They deported my dad, and they're going to and I have to go to work on my paperwork. Am I going to get deported? Is my mom going to get deported? Do we hide now? What are we doing? So these kids need a lot of information and a lot of guidance to let them know that we, LULAC and the and your organization, the Latino Coalition of Weld County, and some of those groups are here to help them through those issues. And one of our arms of LULAC is MALDEF. LULAC started MALDEF years and years ago. So we have MALDEF and ACLU
Oh, I didn't know.
working on civil rights for some of these families. And we're developing toolkits for teachers, toolkits for organizations, so they know who to call, what they need to prepare for. And so it's a lot of strategy and sharing within all the groups. It's going to take all of us to fight this.
I agree. And it's just so shocking how cruel and really anti-American this administration has been, not just to people of color. I mean, that's kind of always been, we've always had that as a systemic structure of racism, at some level. You and I have experienced,
Absolutely.
times of discrimination and that kind of thing. But now it's like full blown Trump, Musk, throwing
Well,
any piece of shit against the
and
wall that they can
and
to
the
see
thing
what
about it,
sticks,
and the
right?
thing about it
And
is the community's watching him do it in real time. And when he's running through
yeah,
the streets and going to workplaces of all places, I mean, that's picking the low hanging fruit. I mean, these people are working. Why? To put their kids through school, to become a useful citizen in the community. And he's out there rounding them all up. It's not about the convicted felons. And of course, LULAC wants those people out of here. I mean, I don't want my kids to be around gangs and different things from out of the country. Of course, we'll back you. But the thing about it is, no, you're only using that as a cover to go into the
right.
workforce and take some of these people out of there that you don't like. But Trump is already saying that political refugees from South Africa can come to America because what? They are white. So if you're brown,
Hmm.
you can't come. You go back to your country. But if you're white, you can come and be a part of the United States. And he's selling gold cards, $5 million gold cards. You want a visa? So he's inviting all of his friends from all over the country, all of these oligarchs, to come in and take over the country.
Right.
And he's getting rid of the working class and taking away the things that we fight for. And he's taking away our weapons that we have to protect our families. And so he's undermining everything that we
Right.
fought for since 1929. And now we're going to be fighting those
Right.
same battles we fought back in the 30s and 40s. And thank God we have some old leaders in LULAC that can show us that what we need to do and how we need to protect ourselves. I mean, LULAC went through the civil rights movement, and they were huge. They Brown versus California, segregated schools. We fought that and won. Hernandez versus Texas. We fought that a jury of your peers, and that went to the Supreme Court. LULAC fought that. I mean, we paid our attorneys by selling tamales. That's how he got to Washington. I mean, it's going to take those little
Hmm.
those little grandmas are out making tamales so we can raise money to fight these injustices.
Right. It's going to take, a large amount of people in those grassroots efforts to really go at him. And I keep thinking, is there some kind of recourse as the people? I mean, courts right now are
Yeah,
kind of saving us, stopping his horrendous, really desecration of the
absolutely,
Constitution. He wants to get rid of that
for
too,
sure.
and that's obvious. He wants sole authority, sole power, sole decision making.
And
Correct?
I mean,
And so,
like just
oh,
last
go ahead.
night, this weekend, he tried to overturn the pardons that Biden gave to people on the January 6th committee. And what he's saying
Yeah.
is that they're not legal because they were auto pen. Well, remember when he took those documents to Mar-a-Lago? He said, "I declassified them. I
Hmm.
just have to think about it, and they're declassified." So now he says, if you don't sign it, It's not legal, but I can think about it and it's legal. And the Supreme Court gave him the right. They gave him that right to do what he wants to in office. And then he put his cronies down in these different department heads to go after the middle class and the migrants and minorities. That's their first target.
Well, don't you think that they're running scared because our population it's growing so fast? I think they were afraid of a majority Latino in this country, and they would lose white supremacy, like white control. I totally think it's tied to
Absolutely.
something like that, and that's why he wants to get rid of brown people of color, even though they're not all Mexicans. He wants to get rid of the poor. He can't stand the poor because he only, you know, idolizes the rich. Where he's inviting them in, and he's really the poor. He's just like kind of dying out. I mean, we look at right now. We're talking about students, but Department of Education getting rid of school lunches. Federal
Title
school
One
lunch
program,
programs. And
Title One
what's that?
programs, English as a second language program.
Yeah,
He's going to be getting rid of those.
right. Oh, and what is it? Is it Title IX with
Yes,
the
Title IX.
colleges? I mean, he's doing everything he can to damage the melting pot. He just wants the white cheese in the pot. And that's why I was reading up when you came on. I was reading up about the Enemies Act of 1789, because now he's using that old wartime act that came out in 1889, and it's supposed to be used for aliens of a country that we're at war with. Well, we're really not at war yet. He's getting there. He's getting there with us against the world type of thing. But I was reading up on that because he's using that right now. He was court ordered to turn a plane around from, was it San Salvador? And they
Guatemala.
had worked a deal. Well, Marco Rubio and this president worked a deal that they would take these planes of illegally judicated
Did you know what?
aliens that didn't have due
Absolutely.
process. They just shipped them on and took them off, and that's not how it works in our Constitution. But they ignored
When
the
they
order.
negotiated that, you know what part of that negotiations was? That we'll pay for you to house them in prisons in Guatemala. So the United States is still paying for them to be imprisoned. I mean, so it's not like we're getting
Right,
rid of them and then they're not going to be a burden on the United States. We're paying tax
right.
dollars to house deported criminals in Guatemala. But nobody knows that. I mean, those are the things that they're not talking about. But I mean,
Right.
the thing about it was, what really upset me was that the Latino movement was moving toward Trump and MAGA in the last election. And they didn't realize when he was talking those kitchen table concerns, eggs and price, and we're going to get all the groceries down, gas is going to be good. Everybody's going, wow, that sounds great. Let's vote. Let's vote for him. He's going to make us rich again. And these Latinos bought it. And we tried, Stacy, we tried to warn them. What did we do? I mean,
We
we did
did.
everything we could to try to warn them that he's lying to you. And they said, no, 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 no. He's going to help us, and he's going to help our abuelitos, and this, that they're not going to have to suffer so much. And now what are they doing? He's taken their family from them, and now they're saying, oh my gosh, what did we do? And it's these Latinos that are going to finally, hopefully, realize that they were lied to, and hopefully in this
If they're
midterm
here.
election coming up, that we're
I mean, anybody can be
absolutely.
deported, right? You and I can be picked up. And then, we talked about Gabe Evans in my last episode, and his bill that he's puffing his chest out about, that getting police officers to, on suspicion, detain people because they're brown. This asshole's brown, but he's brown himself. What a
Absolutely.
disgrace, right? And so we can be detained. I mean, that's totally within Trump's purview with this Project 2025. That idiot's going to be the last
Well,
of us to go. He thinks
and
that he'll
Stacy,
be
my real
immune.
name is Tiburcio. So if I go, to buy something or to do something, I have to use my real name, Tiburcio Subia Jr. So that
Mhm.
looks uh, suspicious.
Yeah.
So they can say, "Hey, wait a minute, where are you from? Where's your papers?" When I was in high school, we used to work in the cotton fields of Arizona, and they would fly over in a plane and they'd find the field that we were all working in. And then about 10 minutes later, you see all the Border Patrol. They'd bring a bus and Border Patrol, and they'd load you in the bus, and they'd haul you out like cattle, and they'd ask where you're from. And the ones that didn't have any papers or they didn't trust, they'd detain them. Well, I spoke, fluent English. And they, where are you from? Well, we're from Colorado. We're working in the fields. Okay, you can go. But I saw how they were treated, and it's like that everywhere for these people. You can be a Latino walking with the flip flops down the street, and they say, "Oh, look at this guy. Let's stop and question him." I have the right to travel.
Yeah.
It's in the Constitution. I'm a
Right.
citizen.
Right. But it doesn't matter, if you're brown, you're a suspect. That's what's crazy, just the idea that they could profile
And
us.
that's it. It's all profiling.
And
And what does that remind you of? 1938, Germany.
oh yeah, it's a total
And
textbook, right?
now they're
Don't you
saying
think?
if you're a migrant, you need to put a bracelet on so we know where you're at. Doesn't that sound anything like the Star
Right.
of David with the Jews? We want to know who you are and where you are at all times. I mean, they want they want to mark you. If they could, they'd tattoo your neck so they can see if you're here. If you're born in the United States, I'm surprised they don't tattoo us when we're born. And birthright citizenship. I mean, you could be born here and be detained. And Stacy, LULAC is fighting for 38 veterans that fought in Iraq that are deported to Mexico and can't come back. They fought for their right. And that's what they were told. This is your path to citizenship. You fight for the United States
Yeah.
Army, and we'll fast track you to get your papers. Well, that didn't work. There's 38 of them in Mexico right now waiting to come back, and that's what LULAC is over there doing. I mean, trying to get them back here.
The most outrageous thing about that, Sonny, although there's many outrageous things about that, but the most to me is that this is trickling down from two failures, right? Two people, Musk and Trump, who avoided any military service. We had one because of Spurs, his father was able to get that done for him. But then you have Musk, who went and got
Yes.
Canadian citizenship, so he wouldn't have to be deployed or serve in the army in South Africa. So these people are just the biggest. Oh gosh, I can't even think of a word right now. They just frustrate me so much. The hypocrisy and the hate is unreal,
And the thing
and
about it
they're
is
just
what were the
destroying this country.
first departments that they were closing down? Those were the departments that helped
Oh yeah.
the middle class. I mean, you got
Or the watchdogs were the first because they were gonna come
right,
in and do
and
some
and
bullshit.
they well, that's going to go to the Supreme Court. I mean, those attorney generals are fighting that. But I mean, you're good. They're going after HUD. They're going after Department of Education. They're going after the ones that help those that don't have a voice. And so they're firing as many people as they can to make it as hard. Social Security, if you call to get a Social Security card, it's going to take you a year before it gets processed. I mean, so
Mhm.
what they're doing is they're
Mhm.
undermining everything, making it hard. And then people are just going to get frustrated. But the one thing that they can't take away is our right to vote, and they're trying to do that. So, I mean, we got
Oh
to
yeah.
work year round getting people registered to vote. And right now, they can see the importance of registering to vote. You hear people saying, well, I never vote. It doesn't help me any. Okay, you're gonna beat this, but bullshit. They are going after you, and it does affect you. And it's that vote that you have
Right.
is the only thing that we have going for us, and that the Constitution says that's the way to fight. You don't need a gun. You don't need anything. Just need that vote.
And that's why this administration and unfortunately many before have always focused on that voter suppression, viewer drop boxes. Now that he has this guy, actually he appointed him, and that's a disappointing thing to me in the Biden administration, why they didn't get rid of the postmaster general that was appointed by Trump. Because now, what do you think is going to happen with mail-in voting?
Absolutely. And
He's going to
well, and
fall
that's
in
why he
line.
wants to do away with the postal service. And then how are you gonna vote? It's all gonna be, you know, at the drop box or wait in line to vote. But what have you the town halls? This is kind of giving me a little bit of hope. Those town halls of these Republican elected officials, their constituents are angry because they were lied to, and they know that they were lied to, and now they're saying, wait a minute. The other day I on Facebook, I posted a lot of stuff on there, and so I posted that MAGA is a cult, and a guy says, well, I'm not in a cult. I said, I didn't say all Republicans are in a cult. I said MAGA is a cult. I know a lot of Republicans that don't believe in some of the things that MAGA does, but they have gone so far right. And now with some of those MAGA people that
Mm.
it's affecting in Alabama, Louisiana, when they're starting to attack your Social Security, that attacks their family. So hopefully they'll pull their head out of the sand and start understanding um, that we need to band together and expose some of these
Right.
things that are going on. Trump's doing a good job on his own, exposing himself. I mean, just listen to him every day. But these people, they'll go to their grave supporting him.
Why? Well, why would they put this idiot, diaper-laden asshole in front of their own interest, their children's interest? Why? What is that devil worship that's going on
Jason,
there? I don't get it.
here's my take on that. Wrestling is fake, and so a lot of these people never won anything. They never had an opportunity to cheer for a champion or cheer for someone. So when you have Hulk Hogan out there, he's going to win. So you jump on the bandwagon and you cheer for him, and then that gives you that sense of, hey, my guy beat your guy. And that's what is happening with MAGA, is that they're cheering for, knowing that it's fake, knowing that it's not going to help them, but at least they can fly the flag. They can put the stickers on their car. They can run around town saying, yeah, those libs are crying and we made you cry and this and that, because that's the same way it is at a wrestling match. They cheer and
Mm.
everything, and when they're starting to lose, they're cheating and this and that, and it. I mean, McMahon, she's the department head for the Department of Ed. I mean, then he hangs out with
Mm.
uh, Joe Rogan and Dana White and all these guys that put on these events, and that's because that's where they feel comfortable and they feel like they're winners. And he says, "You're going to be tired of winning," and he goes to what they want to hear, and what's scary is they don't question that. And it's like Hulk Hogan. I mean, and then when Hulk Hogan lost, then they were cheering because he got cheated, and we're going to get it back. That's exactly what it sounds like to me. So I don't know if that makes sense,
Right.
but that's how I view these
Oh,
guys,
it does.
because they want to feel like a part of the
But
league.
what a what what a price to pay for an adrenaline
Absolutely,
rush. Really.
absolutely. When it affects the family,
We lose our country because you want to
yeah,
feel like
yeah,
you're a winner, and you're supporting a loser who is taking away resources, taking away your family's ability to buy groceries. With all these stupid tariffs, people bought it, and we tried, Sonny. We tried to say, you are paying for them. Remember the Mexico
right,
wall? Who paid
yeah.
for it? We did.
And but the thing
He
about it
lied. Mexico was
the
never
thing
going to
about
pay
it
for
is
that.
I'm proud of the Prime Minister of Canada and Scheinblum from Mexico and NATO and all these
Yep.
guys. They're standing up to Trump and saying, Okay, well then we'll band together too. But you know what really scares me, Stacy, is take a look at Monterrey, Mexico. Take a look at what's happening with the port of Monterrey, where Trump says, "Well, I'm going to put troops down in Panama. We're going to take that back." China and Mexico are saying, "We're building a one that's bigger than Panama, and it's going to start in Monterrey. Check it out." And who's funding it? China, because China's going to have their own port. It's called the Port of
Hmm.
Monterrey, and Mexico and China are going to become trade partners, and it's going to be China to Mexico and across Mexico on rail. These ships, they're going to rail them across from Monterey across to the Gulf of Mexico, not America. But read about some of the stuff. China is sitting back, and now they're going to start buying crude from Canada. What is
Right.
Trump doing? He's making China stronger than they've ever been before.
He's an idiot. He doesn't, they don't think things
The,
through. Really. I look at any of his businesses, Musk too. Musk, I don't know how that guy walks that line because China
yes,
saved his ass.
absolutely.
China built his factories. They gave him that land, those factories, 50% of his wealth coming from Tesla
And all the
in China.
technology.
Well, yeah, so how is he walking that fine line, you know, giving really, I think he's
Well, he
beholden to them.
lost a ton of money on Tesla. People aren't buying those anymore, and
I'm glad.
those
They're ugly
Tesla.
as hell
Well, there's a
anyway.
couple of Teslas that are pretty good looking cars, but I mean, a lot of people are turning them in, they're
Cybertrucks
turning
suck.
them in and buying.
Well, look what he did
Yeah,
in Germany. He was trying to do the same thing that he did in China in Germany, but who was stopping him was the
right.
environmentalists. They found every way. There was a snake, and there ended up being like one or two snakes in that whole area that was an endangered species, and they were able to delay his permits and stuff like that. So, why do you think we see a picture of Musk hailing? They had an election coming up, doing the
Hmm.
Hail Hitler sign, and he was doing that. You can't mistake that symbol for anything else. It's as bad as if you would have put up a
He
Nazi
did it well.
swastika, right?
It wasn't a mistake.
So he was trying to engage the really far right people who don't really want to take responsibility for what happened during the
They don't believe
Holocaust.
that the Holocaust even existed,
Granted,
and
right? And
and
he
the
said
big
that recently.
and the victims were the Germans because the Jews were taking advantage of them. Where have you heard this before?
Right.
And or are you hearing it again? I mean, they're using that Hitler playbook. I mean, word for word,
Hmm.
burning down libraries, taking away calling CNN and MSNBC enemies and illegal. So he's going to start taking away some of those avenues for our information. But the thing can't take away is social media now, which is big. I mean, TikTok, podcasts like the one you have. This is the way we're going to educate and share information because he's going to tie the hands of those big news organizations, but it's going to be the little ones like your podcast and some of the different things that people can tie into and hear what the major news agencies can't say or off Trump.
Hmm. Well, I think we have a constitutional crisis. We really do. Some of the pundits say, well, we're not really officially in a constitutional crisis until he disobeys court order.
That
Well,
a
he's
hundred
doing that
times.
now.
Even when he wasn't
Yeah.
president, he was
And
disobeying
so,
court orders. I mean, this guy. I mean, but like we were saying, and how we opened the podcast, it's about our youth and what they're seeing and what they're learning and what we can teach them to be those leaders that are going to take our flag from us and continue up that hill. And the one thing that the Department of Ed, LULAC has a LULAC National Education Service Center. We do college prep, we do job Rocky Mountain SARE Jobs for Progress. That's a LULAC program, and those are preparing people to get a job. But he's taken away all that money where we're preparing these people for the future because he knows that we're coming. He knows that our our gente can be very, very powerful, and that's why he tried to split us. But what he's doing now is he's saying, okay, now we got to go after those kids. We got to stop those kids from trying to learn, and they can't. Even the Muskogee Air guys, they took them out of the books because they don't want the blacks to know that these are heroes and that they have people that they can read about and then they can admire and try to be. They don't want us to know our history. They want us to know, the Pilgrims, and they had Thanksgiving and they saved everybody, and the when we came over, we made the country better by taking the land away from the Native Americans, and we built cities and we did this and we did. I mean, if we would have just stuck to the Ten Commandments of the Native Americans, we would all be better off. We could live together.
Right. I agree totally. So maybe we could somehow, I keep thinking we need to, if we're not getting anything out of the federal government, if that's all going to the rich, then really people should just stop paying their federal taxes. Go exempt. Seriously,
Right.
it's legal to go exempt. Save that money, maybe pay it later. Don't give it to him now. Let him scramble, right? So, there's that, but also as we're talking, I'm thinking, gosh, we need a reclamation act that maybe since China is really building Mexico up to be this powerhouse, this economic powerhouse, maybe we try to get the lands that were taken from Mexico reclaimed back to Mexico. Colorado becomes a Mexico state,
Hey,
and we'll have a better economy. Who in the hell
I
wants to
mean,
come here anymore?
where he's trying to change the English as a second language, English as the national language. I mean, Colorado, Nevada, Florida, all these are names,
Yeah,
yeah.
change the names.
And then New Mexico, where we're going to be
Be
New
true.
America down there. And San Luis
Right.
is one of the oldest churches in the country. I mean, we've got a lot of history,
Hmm.
and you're right. There are a lot of old Spanish um, claims that Ricardo Romero was fighting for Tia Amarillo
Hmm.
in New Mexico, fighting for that. And there's a lot of stuff that we can do, but not now with his judges that he has sitting on there. And when after the State of the Union, when he was walking by the Supreme Court justices, he said, "Good job, I owe you one." Did you see him say that?
I, I, I didn't watch it. I couldn't
Yeah,
stomach. I tried
I,
about 15 seconds, and
I was
that was it.
watching a little bit.
Bye.
I missed Green stand up for himself, and he was fighting for Social Security. So hey, I'd been right there with him, and that kind of pissed me off a little bit, Stacy. Why didn't the Democrats get up and walk out with him? All of us united.
Mm-hmm.
They
They
should
should have, or at least stood up and
they
turned
should
their
have been
back to
united.
him.
I would have got up and walked out with him.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
They should have. And it's infuriating that some of them were just kind of, they voted to
yeah,
censor
but they never did that to
Representative Green.
Green or Boebert when they were hollering and screaming when
Right.
Biden was speaking. They didn't do it. Yeah.
And now Boebert accusing him of using his pimp stick. Nobody told you're using your crack hoe pipe, in the movie or in the
It's not what she
theater in
was eating.
Denver,
That wasn't a pipe.
you know.
Um,
Well, it was a vape, but it's a
yeah, she
crack
didn't
hoe
have a
vape.
pipe in her hand. She had something different. But
She was smoking, Sonny.
I know
She
what
was
you're talking
smoking
about. I know.
some.
I'm just kidding. But no, and it's kind of funny that we're pretty excited about Sanders and AOC coming to Greeley this Friday
Yeah.
or Friday the 21st. of March. I don't know when you're going to air this, but that's kind of exciting to see that. And the reason they're coming is because Gabe Evans, I loved when he went to his
Hmm.
office. I loved that. That was great. Gabe Evans and Boebert, they're not talking to their constituents. The Republicans are told not to
They're afraid.
because they're being attacked. So what is the Democrats doing? The real Democrats, AOC and Sanders, they're going out and saying, "Hey, we'll go talk to the people. We'll let your constituents know what's going on. If you don't want to talk to them, we will." And I think that's a great strategy to start going into those areas that they don't want to talk to their people, and
Right.
and informing them about what's going on. But I mean, every day you wake up and you wonder, what did Trump say last night? What do we? And being the state director of LULAC, Stacy, I have been so busy lately with everything that's going on. When I told them when they appointed me state director, I thought, this will be kind of easy because I did it before in '96 through 2004. And that was easy. And I kind of retired. And then LULAC was kind of dying in Colorado, and they called me and they said, "Hey, would you consider doing this again?" And I said, "Well, I enjoy feeding my squirrels and my dogs. I'm kind of retired and still expelling students." And so I said, "Okay." And it was great until Trump. And now we're fighting fires. Every day there's a new fire that we're putting out. I mean, um, like our kids in the schools, their parents are being deported right out from under them, trying to work and trying to get them through school.
Hmm.
And that's what's kind of sad. And that's what's going to keep me and your organizations is that some of those people don't have the right. And you and I need to talk about another issue that's happening. And it'll come to light here soon. But we've been getting these
Yeah.
calls about how these immigrant people are being treated at work. They have to come in and work 12 hours, get paid for 8. I mean, and then it's just here in
Here in
Greeley.
Colorado?
You'll,
Well,
oh,
that's
it
against state
absolutely
law.
is, but the EEOC is not around anymore. They cut that, and that was the thing that Trump did. Is you don't have those departments now that will fight for you anymore to do labor laws. I mean, you still have an opportunity. Now you're going to have to go and fight civil rights uh, uh, violations
Right.
because we're not going to have those labor laws. The unions are getting cut. I mean, they're weakening everything that we had, that we
Well,
built for, and that we fought for.
that's what I keep thinking, Sonny. We still have civil rights laws on the books. Why can't we rise up and use those rights while they're
And
here?
they
Why can't we rise up and say this whole thing is discriminating against the civil
and
rights
see, and that's
laws?
one thing they can't take away, and that's why we're fortunate enough to have MALDEF and some of these ACLU and some of those attorneys working together to fight major. I mean, we've sued Trump 6 times. I think it's going to be 8 now. They filed, and we haven't lost one, which Trump is starting to get annoyed by. But he doesn't listen to the judges when we win those cases. But the thing about it is,
Hmm.
we're starting to get all of these attorneys that we put through college, DU or Latino attorneys. Now we're using them. Now that's what we need them now, and a lot of them to bat for us.
Good.
So we're
That's
going to
great.
be out of my office, my LULAC office. We're going to be sharing with civil rights attorneys from Denver. So if there's anything happening in northern Colorado, they have a place to go meet with families. We're donating our office to them. So we work together to make sure that these
Great.
people get a voice and have people that are going to listen and make sure that they're not being taken advantage of. So, I mean,
Right.
that's what we're going to try to do is try to bring people in. And you're right, Stacy. Uh, we need to band together and use all of our knowledge that we've learned. I mean, you've fought a lot at the State House, and some of your knowledge and some of our civil rights knowledge that we have at LULAC, working together as organizations to support each other. I mean, we need to have
Yep.
we need to have Rolodex with all of our organizations where we can pick up a Rolodex, say, hey, I got this issue going on in Alamosa. Who do you have down there? And start plugging people in. And
Exactly.
I think we can do that now because people, everyone I talk to, are furious about what's going on. So, okay, well,
Hmm.
you tell me you're furious. What are you going to do about it? Don't just say you're mad. Do something about it. What you're saying?
Right.
Do some good, bad, good
Good
trouble.
trouble.
Do some good trouble. We need to start doing that again.
Right.
I mean,
Sonny, and we have partners
we do.
across the state and equally as furious, powerful as can be. We should all conjoin together like we did in
Yeah.
2022 for the first CD8 election. We all came together and we were successful. So I think, yeah, this is even way more important because it's everybody's rights. It's our country, our nation. Let's do it. Let's bring everybody together and let's
Well,
work together. Start making
and
big impacts.
what upsets me the most is our LULAC logo, our emblem is red, white, and blue, stars and stripes. We're proud to be Americans. And the Republicans, they
Hmm.
tried to hijack the fact that the flag is patriotic. Hey, the Democrats are as patriotic as anybody. We fight, we go to war, we fight,
Right,
but they try to make it sound like we hate America. And you hear it all the time. Oh, the
right,
Democrats or the liberals hate America. Why do they hate America so much? We don't hate America. We just hate what's happening to America. And that's why we rise up and we raise our
right,
voice. But I'm proud to be American, and it's our Constitution that we're fighting for. We do have civil
right,
rights. We have civil rights. They can't take that away from us. They're trying to. That's what we got to fight
right.
for.
Well, that would be a good place to start right there is start now that we have those civil rights, start working there. And I do want to put a shout out to somebody who I think has been working his ass off and been really kind of getting into the bones of the fight. It's Phil Weiser, our Attorney General. He is fearless. He's getting out there suing Trump for everything that he can. Now he's got he's forced into a stupid case to Trump coming in, his administration reviewing this Tina Peters, who was clearly wrong, just like Trump was when he was indicted 34 times and convicted. He was wrong. That is how our system is, it was Americans who said that, not a particular judge. I mean, there's so much we could talk about all the wrongdoings, but Phil Weiser has been there for the Latino people. I know when we sued the Weld County commissioners for gerrymandering and really cutting up the Latino voice, Phil Weiser was there with an amicus brief, his office. They went to the Colorado Supreme Court and fought next to our lawyers to say this is not legal according to the state statute. So good job, Phil.
Let
Always
me
love you,
ask you
my
who you're
friend.
voting for
You know,
if he runs for governor. I know he's running for governor.
for I'm putting it out there. Phil Weiser's my guy. I'm
Well,
gonna
let's
work on
do
that
it. Let's
campaign.
get him in there.
Oh yeah, he's made his bones with me. He's proven that everybody matters to him, and he's the guy. And I hope that some of our senators and others in office, we need you in Washington. I hope that you don't run a campaign against Phil at this time because really Phil has earned the
Well,
spot. Not that they haven't, they've been fighting for a long time, but as far as diversity goes, Phil has
well,
earned the spot. It's
you're
fighting
exactly
for
right. We don't
for
want to have to
Latinos.
backfill those positions if they're going to be running for governor. I
Be
mean, and
smart.
you're exactly right. And that's the reason that the Democrats have such a low um, uh, polling numbers. People don't think that the Democrats are doing it right, and they're not. They're not fighting. Or they're
Where are
not.
they?
Their caucus isn't all together. I mean, you had Schumer
Mhm.
backing Trump's deal, and it's going to hurt us. I mean, it's going to codify everything that Trump wants to do now. how are we going to turn that back around?
Yeah.
No, politics is I wish it wasn't one of my passions. I wish I didn't have to get involved. I wish it was really easy and everybody would be happy
I'm
and
with
we
you.
could all go have a beer and a slice of pizza and not argue with each other. But it comes down to the communities. It's, Trump's doing his thing up there, but there's a lot of stuff going on in your own community that you need to address and start fixing some of
Right.
those things here. And I just want to say that LULAC's got your back, the Latino coalition. We've always worked together, and we've always enjoyed working with each other, and we have the same passion, and our same mission is
Right.
making sure these people aren't getting abused, and that's why we're here. And so I want
Well, I
to,
appreciate it. And LULAC is same. We're like a braided strand, right? It's
well,
tougher to break.
and that's why I said when we could work together as organizations, we're that much stronger. And you're exactly right. I like that analogy.
Right. Well, Sonny, it's almost been an
Everything's
hour, and
good.
and I love these
I think I've
discussions.
lost 5 pounds just talking. I'm on a diet, so I'm good. No, but
Well, good for
no, I
you.
enjoy talking. When
Good.
you asked me, I said
Um,
absolutely. I'd like to talk with you. So
Great. Well, there's so much happening, and they're purposely doing that. But we're we're staying, and that's why I do this show, is because I want people to be up to date. It's so easy to just turn off the TV, turn off, don't read the news, but it's such an important time that I'm trying to make it more simple for people to understand what's really going on. And I love that you came on the show, Sonny. Thank you. You're always a wealth of knowledge, and I learn a lot from you.
well, I've been in Greeley quite a
I
while.
do.
Started in the beet fields, and now I'm sitting in the backyard feeding squirrels. But no,
Oh, hey,
you know
that's my
what,
dream job right
Stace?
there.
You could do this podcast every morning with all the information that comes out every day. I mean, there's some different news
Right.
that, I mean, I just, my wife and I sit and just stare at each other and go, can you believe that? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
like
It's
two
unreal.
issues a week. It's like one issue every day. And so let's just keep
Right.
people informed, do the best that we can. And if you ever need us and anything that we can do to help you guys, just give us a call. You know where to get a hold of me.
Oh, I will. And I just got to do your
Hey,
birthday beer. So let's plan that too.
I'm in. Give me a
We'll
call.
talk more.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please hit
And tell Deb I hope she's
subscribe
feeling okay.
when you
I
see.
hope she's doing good. Let me know
Oh, I
if
will. Yeah, she's
okay.
doing better.
All right.
Will do.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.